Hi, my name's Dave and you're listening to episode 84 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. And this episode is being brought to you through the generous support of Christopher Stark, who has just become our latest Patreon supporter. If you'd like to be just like Chris and help support the show, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from $1 upwards. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and help us cover our production costs and hosting costs. The Scale Modeler Supply. Certified Australian made, the Scale Modeler Supply has created a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints that have been specifically developed to cater for the scale modeler. Designed to use straight from the bottle, SMS paints have taken all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake the durable glass bottle and pour and spray for a fast drying and extremely durable result. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, train, car, science fiction or gunpla. SMS premium acrylic lacquer paints will have the colour to suit you. The Modeler Supply is also your one-stop shop for all weathering, brushes, masking, tools and other accessory needs. SMS paints and tools and accessories are available either directly from their website www.scalemodeler.com.au or through stockists across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore and the USA. And as a special bonus exclusive to our On The Bench listeners, you will get 10% off your next order by using the promo code OTB2020 when ordering direct from Scale Modeler. So go now to www.scalemodeler.com.au and place your order. We know you won't be disappointed. And hello and welcome to the show, and we are out of lockdown, and in the studio I have got Ian and Julian. Hello Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day listeners.
G'day Julian.
Good morning.
We've just finished stuffing ourselves with bacon and eggs and
Pancakes.
yeah, it was yummy.
Oh, it was a good breakfast.
Yeah. So what have you guys been doing since last episode? I'll start with you, Ian.
I actually got some modelling done.
Ooh.
Yes, got back on the bench.
What have you been building?
Back on the Buffalo.
Yep.
So the canopy's now attached, masked, pre-shading's done, painted the white bits, and last night I got the Montex masks and masked up all the numbers and lines and everything that needs to be white, and today I'll shoot my first colour of silver on the undersurfaces.
Oh, very nice. And how are you finding the Montex masks?
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Good. I first time I'm actually using them, but what I did is I actually measured out and drew on the masks exactly where the panel lines are.
Oh.
So it made it so much easier to
Line them up
on the fuselage and on the wings.
That's a clever idea, actually. Oh, you're a very smart boy.
Just used a pencil and just and a ruler and just...
The trouble with the masks are, sometimes I have to sit there and think which mask has to go on first because which paint you got to cover up after you do it.
Yeah.
And it gets a bit... Sometimes it makes my head hurt.
Yeah, that's why I've done the white. I've done the white first for that reason, because white's going to be a bugger to put over a twin green camouflage scheme.
Yeah, true.
So this way the white's already on there.
Yep.
And then I'll paint it.
Very good. Have you made any purchases?
Yes.
There's a very muted yes.
Yes.
Oh, do tell.
Well, as you would have known with last episode, while we're on the episode, I bought the Italian heavy cruiser Fiume.
Yep.
Which is a really nice kit, except one thing.
It's a trumpeter one.
Yeah, trumpet, except for one thing. Bad packaging.
Oh, no.
The all the fair leads on the hull are either bent, broken, or just damaged. So there's not one in good condition.
So they must have put the hull in the wrong way in the box.
Well, the thing is, on the front of on the bow of the ship, the very bottom,
Yep.
there's like a hook
Mm.
that hangs down. I presume that'd be like for cable cutting or something like that. And that was broken off as well.
Oh.
So the hull's going to need a fair bit of repair work before it can even get started, which is a real shame for a kit that costs you over $100.
Yeah. And you bought that after being inspired by Julian purchasing
Julian mentioned. I had no idea the kit was out there, and I had a look online and gone, wow, what a beautiful looking ship.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a very, very stunning looking ship. It's all the Italian grey, and then with a dark grey splotchy camouflage over the top. You got the boot lines in green.
Well, all the underhull is their anti-foul
green,
is a green anti-foul, which is much like the Hungarian ships as well.
And it's got the Italian, of course, got the red and white striped nose.
Yeah,
which
beautiful.
looks really good.
Yep.
So it's got it all.
Excellent.
And the other kit I purchased on a whim was the Edward Royal Class P51 set,
which is
the P51 Mustang from Edward. It's a dual combo, so you get two kits.
Yep.
I think you get about 10 or 12 paint schemes to choose from, and you can do every P51D from block D5 to D25.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure there's even parts in the kit that you can do a K.
And the boxing is beautiful. It comes in a black box.
Oh, dark blue box.
And it's got two kits inside it.
Yep.
And what was the retail price for that?
I think it was about $118.
$118, and you get two 148 scale P51s.
Yeah, with all the trimmings.
The trimmings.
Photo etch wheels.
Yep.
Resin wheels, resin exhausts, canopy masks, photo etch. Like there's 4 sheets of photo etch for the cockpit.
Wow.
So you can do either the early D5s or the later D10s onto 15, 20, 25s.
Yeah.
Because the cockpit fascias were different.
Yep.
It's a really stunning kit. I'm quite impressed with it.
Kits.
Yeah. Yes, kits.
I'm sorely tempted to go and have a look and buy one of them, actually.
It's not bad.
No.
It's got some nice, interesting paint schemes.
Yeah.
And you get 3 fuselages.
3 fuselages?
Yeah, 3 fuselages. 1 filletless Mustang, so it doesn't have the fin fillet for the tail.
Right, okay.
And 2 fuselages where you can put different style of fin fillets in.
You got to pay a lot of attention to what parts to use for which particular model you're building.
Yeah. But Edward, it smartly enough, puts a little square in each part of the instruction with the number to suit that particular aircraft. I
find with those sorts of instructions, it's best to go through and actually circle which particular model you're making.
Yep.
Or variant you're making so you don't get confused.
Yep. Totally agree, yep.
Oh, you're a lucky boy.
Yeah, very lucky lad.
I'm seriously going to have to go and have a look at that now because I'm really tempted to go and buy it.
Yeah. Don't get too tempted, Dave.
Why?
Because remember the last time you bought an Edward double boxing?
Yeah, I sold it.
I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with that kit you sold.
I know. I just thought to myself, I'm never going to get rent. It was a Spitfire.
Yeah, the Aussie 8.
The Aussie 8. And I never saw I could. It was sitting up in the stash, and I thought, you know what? I'm probably never going to build that. So I went and sold it. But now I'm thinking,
shouldn't have.
See, it's a case of what he's got that I haven't, and you get all I get all twitchy. You go, oh, I've got to have that too.
Well, selling things. I've been looking at my collection and thinking, there's a few kits I can get a lot of money for at the moment.
Yeah, especially the wings ones. I
know someone was selling off a Felix Day for over $600.
$750.
Oh, $750.
$750.
So if you give it a month, I'll probably be able to get $1,000 for it.
Oh, it's just crazy money the kits are going for at the moment. The Wingnut Wings.
Yep.
People are going nuts over it. And was it you saying? I think the last episode somebody walked in the model shop and
the local one, they bought 5 in one hit.
Wow, just walked in and said, "I'll have that lot."
Yep.
5 in one hit.
5 in one hit. Yep.
It's like dropping $1,500 or something, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Wow.
That's a lot of money, man.
Yep.
So what have you been up to, Julian?
Not much.
We're living in opposite land at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm just sort of like easing out of my modelling hibernation period, I guess you can call it. Yeah. So I've been I tinkered a little bit on one of the cockpits, but I'm just I keep looking at these. I guess I went too hard on these 2 Italian planes too early.
I burnt yourself out.
Yeah, I burnt myself out. But I mean, I know what I did. Well, I did it. I mean, I sort of went, oh, well, these two cockpits are the same color. I may as well paint them both at once. And then I've glued some like fragile things on. And now I'm stuck in this position where I don't want to build either of them. Honestly, like when my kit of the Fiumi comes in, I know like, it'd be nice if I might just throw everything back in the boxes for these two kits, and then I just start on something new.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to do that. You just need to start a brand new project just to kick you back into the feel of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with sort of getting halfway through and putting it back and putting it away and coming back to it.
We've done it heaps of times.
You find sometimes something will motivate you to go back and attack it again. And you open it up and you go, "Gee, I did a pretty good job on it so far."
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I came across an unfinished kit of mine the other day, and it was the Dragon models 6 and 2. The British mobile artillery piece.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I remember struggling with that kit because there's a lot that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Not inaccuracies, it's just they didn't design it properly.
Bad engineering.
Yeah, so there's like these two storage bins. I mean, this is going back a long way because I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on the podcast once before, a long time ago, like over a year ago at least, maybe 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years ago, I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot wrong. There's these two storage bins that go on the back. But the problem is when you glued them on, and by the way, like the sort of the outside sides of these two storage bins are part of the upper superstructure.
Yep.
So you're just gluing sort of an L shape on the inside. Mm-hmm. But the problem is once you start gluing all those pieces in, you quickly realize that they don't. It doesn't leave enough room in the middle between them for the sort of rear portion of the hull.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've actually just measured it all out wrong. And you end up having to like cut pieces out of it in order to get it to fit. But that's all sort of difficult to do because you're sort of grappling with multiple shapes in a 3-dimensional space and trying to figure out which of these do I have to remove material from so that I don't end up having to fill something up later.
Yeah.
And like because like it's got these these sort of like railings, I guess you can call them, that go all around the sort of the rear deck.
Yep.
So that they can just throw lots of like stowage and stuff on the back there, and they won't have to worry about tying any of it down.
Yep.
The problem is like once you start getting in there, you're gonna have to trim some of that. And you can't. Fun. Once you trim that, you can't make it back up without a lot of trouble.
Exactly. Yep.
And I was looking at my work, and I'm like, "Oh, this is rough." I tried my best back then, but I could probably do a better job now. But even so, like, just the general way I was building kits back then was a lot. It's beneath what I would consider acceptable. If someone like gave this kit to me and said, "Do you want to finish this?" I'd say no, thank you.
Right.
Like I'm unhappy with my own work from just 2 years ago.
So it might be time to relegate it.
I might just bin it.
Yeah, bin it. Yeah, relegate it and start again.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a nice looking vehicle. It's British, so it's got like the two-tone like Mickey Mouse camouflage and stuff on it.
Yep.
If you do that one, I think you can do like ones that are like basically all green.
Yeah,
which is typical. But
never be afraid just to chuck a kit in the bin and just walk away.
Oh, don't get. Look, if there's anyone who's not afraid to do that, it's me.
I'm too stubborn.
No, I'm not. I'm like Julian.
For me, it's very rare for me to throw a kit out. It's just like, no, I'm not going to let this bugger beat me.
No, I'm like Julian. Lesson learned. See you later. Boof. Out the door.
Oh, look, I'm not going to say I've never done it. I have done it. But majority, as Julian knows, I'll battle through some rough kits.
So I'm almost the other way. It's sort of like if the kit pushes back on me, I'm like, oh, you're going to push back on me? Fine, you can have the bin. See you later.
No,
this isn't a fight you can win. You're going to win.
It's like, no, that's that half Dutch gene of mine kicks in. It's like, no, I'm too stubborn.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. I know. So I've been looking at sort of some of the other, like I've been sort of assessing like my mind, sort of my state of mind with regards to modelling, and sort of going, I could just put these back in the box. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
As much as I'd really like to clear them off my bench and just get them done.
Because you've tackled nearly every subject now, haven't you?
Subject of what?
Modelling.
Yeah, you've done
Cars,
except
planes,
motorcycles.
Armour. You've done a ship.
I haven't like painted a really nice figure, but that's really hard. That's so like that's such an outlier genre of modelling.
Yeah, figure painting.
Yeah, I mean I've got a figure there that I can paint.
It's a very nice figure you got there. Yeah.
And it's big enough that I could probably get away with like airbrushing a lot of the flesh tones on stuff on the face, you know. And fortunately, even though it's a sort of female figure, it doesn't have like eyeshadow or anything, right? I can just I don't know enough about makeup, right? So the sort of like
and Ian and I say thank God for that.
What do you call it? The sort of like peachy sort of colouring that goes up above the eye.
God, I don't know. Peachy sort of
eyeshadow.
Eyeshadow, yeah.
Is it eyeshadow? I don't know. But anyway, basically, she just has like the black outline that goes around the edge of the eye.
When you go to a makeup class,
no thanks,
and that way you can learn for when you're sort of transferring your skills across.
And you'll
to
get
modelling.
to meet some nice girls.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good. I can just sort of Google something and be done with it in like less than 30 seconds. Eyeshadow, enter on Google, and it's done. You know.
Oh, geez.
In any case, I don't need to do that sort of thing. I was thinking if that was part of it, how would I do that? I mean, if I was good at brush painting, then obviously
do what I did years and years ago when I had a commission job to do a barbed wire figure, which was the Pamela Anderson from the barbed wire.
Oh, someone paid you to make that?
Yep.
That's a bit odd.
And it was a decent sized figure too. It was over a foot tall.
Jeez.
And I had no idea on makeup and that, so it's like, hey, sis. And you got a sister too, so hassle your sister out, she'll tell you.
Yeah.
I guess. My sister's a bit of a tomboy.
Yeah, but she's still a woman. She still know about
Ask
makeup.
Michelle. Michelle will give you a master
Yeah, but I don't
class
need to know it, because that's what the point I'm getting to, because this particular figure of mine doesn't have any of that sort. It just has the actual like black outline around the edge of the eye. That's it.
Just Cole, as they call it. K-O-H-L, Cole.
If you say so. It's pretty simple.
It's scary that I know that, isn't it?
I know, I'm just thinking, geez, Ian.
Cole's been around.
You got some extra hobbies that we should know about?
Cole has been around since the ancient Egyptian times.
Oh, okay.
That's what they used to use.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, it is somewhat like the Egyptian look with the, yeah,
just the black around the eyes.
Yeah. But, yes, I mean... the most difficult portion would probably be painting like the scars and stuff that run down her face.
Which that black stuff was actually made out of charcoal.
Yeah,
originally.
No. I wouldn't want to put that near my eye.
Well, you think
it was ground up.
Just think of Victoria.
It was made into a paste.
Yeah, that's nothing. Think of Victorian times.
Well,
women used to put that white paint they used to put in their faces was made out of lead.
Yeah, it had lead in and all sorts of nasty stuff.
And they're wondering why the women were dropping like flies.
It was actually earlier than it's around like the 16s, 15s, 16s, 1700s. They did all that sort
when
of
they
weird
started
stuff.
putting that white, around the times of the French Revolution and so forth.
Yeah, but even back to Queen Elizabeth I. Yeah. Bizarre.
Lead paint.
Anywho, let's step away from makeup because
we're a blokey show.
I'm uncomfortable sitting in the room with two guys talking about makeup. What have I been doing? I've been just battling away on my Orc bomber, Blitzer bomber.
Yes.
And I've said this before. If you need something just to let loose and build without sort of having to worry about it, just pick a subject like that. And you know, there is a sort of loose canon you sort of got to stick to, but apart from that, you're free to do whatever you want to do. And because
you do seem like you're having a very sort of stress-free experience.
You're very zened out doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's because I'm building just for the fun of it, not for any competition or anything like that. I just find it just, and there's no sort of historical sort of references or anything. Well, people who play Warhammer might argue against that, but there's you're very free just to let your artistic sort of mojo flow and all this sort of stuff. So I'm just really enjoying it. It's nearly finished now.
Cool.
I had to do a red, so I chose a red brown from Tamiya. I think it's LP15 lacquer paint, and used that.
Is it the hull red?
Yeah, it's sort of like a hull red, but it's called dull red. And I've been using some SMS paints, a sponsor of ours, of course. I used their super gloss, and it was when I finished it. Well, the first time I did it, it didn't look too good because I put too much leveler in it. And the second time I pulled back in the leveler, I only put about 2 drops in the cup, and it came out had like a wet finish to it once it dried. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, just super glossy straight off the gun.
Oh yeah. It was just, I'm thinking, oh, gee, this stuff is absolutely awesome.
Have you tried it without any thinner to it? Because I'm pretty sure those are pretty thin, aren't they?
Oh, they're pretty thin, but as a leveler I put into it.
Yeah.
And the first time around, so I think if you put leveler in it, it knocks the glossiness down. And that's to do with any leveler, I think, from memory.
When you say it knocks the glossiness down, you mean the glossiness goes up or it goes down?
Goes down, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you put leveler with any type of gloss, you're starting to head towards a satin, almost matte sort of finish.
All right.
And I don't know why, but it is.
Interesting.
Well, that's what I found anyway.
Okay.
So...
I would have thought it would work the other way around because it is a leveler, it smooths things out.
Yeah, but I think something in the leveler actually, I don't know. There was a huge discussion about this because Mr. Colour Leveler, a lot of people have been using that, and apparently it's really good because you can mix that through a whole heap of different manufacturers' paint ranges and it doesn't sort of stuff it up. And
I mean, that's what I thin everything with.
Yeah, and there was discussion about how using leveler changes the shine of the paint you're putting on. Either reduces it. I'm pretty sure it does reduce it. Well, if I stand correct, I have to go back and have a look at that now.
Well, in any case, you should probably... I think it's probably like bad practice to worry about how glossy your paint is and just sort of... If you want something to be glossy, you just let your clears do the work.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I do. That's what I do. Because before I clear coat my kits, it's just so patchy between colours. Like one colour's like really flat and the other colour's like semi-gloss, and then you just put the clear coat over the top and everything just blends together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you almost can't get a good impression of what the outcome is going to look like until you sort of unify the
shine,
the level of glossiness.
Yep, exactly.
I get that sometimes when you're using two different brands of paint.
Because I actually, excuse me, with the Buffalo, when I painted the white, I put a couple of coats of gloss over the top of it before I masked it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because that's a much flatter surface.
Yep.
So the Montex masks will sit much easier on there.
And
it made it so much easier because some of the ones I had to adjust a little bit because it's got some numbers on the side, 3110, and the way I applied them, they weren't sitting correctly. So, and being on a really high gloss surface, they peeled off really easily and stuck straight back on with no problems.
Clever idea. Nice little sort of hack. Very good.
At the moment, I'm kind of like I could build a ship, right?
Cool.
But at the same time, I could also build a car almost as easily.
What about a motorcycle?
Nah, not. I've built one motorcycle and.
Oh, you built a motorcycle?
Huh?
You have built a motorcycle?
Yeah, really, a 35th scale one.
Yep.
It was the BMW with sidecar.
Just be warned with a ship though, it requires a lot of build time for a ship that size that you're building, that you're intending to build.
Yeah, whatever.
So, hey Ian, trust us, you're looking at least a good 2 months build.
Yeah, but this kid doesn't like the Fiumi doesn't have enough aftermarket support to need to build too much out of photo etch.
Yeah, but you could do all your sub assemblies. You got to pre-paint your camouflage on your sub assemblies.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Wait, is there much camouflage on it on the upper on the superstructure?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'll just sit back and wait.
The only difficult portion I'm considering out of it is the fact that it's 50 centimeters long, and I don't have a cabinet that'll go into, so I'm gonna have to think of something else.
Well,
I might have to get like one of those perspex boxes made up to cover it.
Well, I think pretty sure Trumpeter makes those boxes to suit those ships.
I'm pretty sure they only make it big enough to put like a 700 scale large ship in. I think they make one big enough.
I'll just sit back and wait for 6 months and then swoop in and get a good deal on a particular 1/350 scale Italian warship.
What, half built?
Is that what you reckon is going to happen?
No, I got faith in Julian. I reckon he'll knock it out.
And if you finish building it, know where to store it. Hey, it'll look in my cabinet too.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah.
You would put my model in your cabinet?
Oh, absolutely. I love your models the way you build. I reckon you're an awesome builder. I'd be proud to have one of your kits in my display cabinet.
Julian goes, excellent. I'm going to offload a buttload of kits now.
No. No, I mean, it's... I mean, like, the sort of thing that would make me apprehensive about starting it would be not knowing where to put it.
Well, there you go. You got a home for it now.
Okay. Well, that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if I actually had to like start a new kit tonight, I'm not sure if I would. See, I don't have. The problem is, even though I've got like some car kits that I want to get stuck into, the problem is that I don't have any sort of perfectly ready to go. You know, I've like, it'll be like, oh, this one I've got all the aftermarket, but I don't have the kit, or it's another one where I've got the kit and I don't have the aftermarket for it.
Yep.
So I don't have anything I could just go, yep, I'm starting that now. And grab it off the shelf, you know.
But don't you, when you buy a kit, because I know Ian does, he immediately tracks down all the aftermarket stuff, then chucks it all in the box and then puts it in his stash, so he's got everything ready to go if he needs to just reach out and start building. Don't you do that? Or do you put it in the stash and then go and research your aftermarket stuff when you're getting closer to building it?
Well, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I'll go after all the aftermarket and sort of finish collecting all the bits and pieces I'm going to need for a project as soon as I get it. But I'm not... You know, sometimes things aren't in stock. I'm not going to order from halfway around the globe if I can help it.
I'm the same. I rarely now order from overseas. If B&A doesn't have it, I'll send them an email and they'll get it in.
I'm very reluctant to order from outside of our side of the world, you know? Like, I'll order from Asia, perfectly fine. But if you ask me to order from the US or Europe, I'm pretty... unlikely to do that.
Why is that?
Takes too long to get here.
Okay.
It costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I know freight from England is stupid.
Yeah.
The last thing I bought from Europe or the United States was the decals for my P47, and that was a letter. It should have come in a flat thing so that it's not a box. It's not something that's going to that could potentially get broken or anything like that.
Yep. Actually, we've got some listener mail who've addressed some of those things too.
Oh, cool.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Is this in reference to... Well, I suppose we'll get to it when we get to it.
When we get to it.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd start if I was going... I'm tempted... You know what? This talk, it's good to talk about the things that are on my mind and modelling-wise and sort of get the sounding board to bounce off of.
Yes.
You know? Because I think when I get home, I'll just chuck all that stuff back in their boxes and get on with something.
Do it. Yeah, just have a look through your stash and whatever just piques your interest, just grab it and start it.
Yeah, I don't know if I should do that though, because I mean, I might just start the Fumi when I get it.
No, even that, yeah.
I think I did.
I still haven't ordered those decks though. I'll do that today.
That's all right. It'll be a while before I get to any of that.
But I think so far the only thing you can probably get would be gun barrels in the deck, the rear deck.
I believe I've bought gun barrels. They just haven't come in yet.
Because it's all Zara. You just got to buy the gun barrels for the Zara class cruisers. And
yeah, I imagine that it'd match up pretty easily.
Well, it is a Zara class cruiser.
You've just got like
the bridge was different.
Yeah, you just got like the only barrels in it would be like the main guns and then the slightly smaller ones.
And the secondary armament, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Shall we have a look at what's new in the modelling world?
Sure.
And then we'll hit the mailbag after that.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, gee, there's a lot of mail.
Oh, good. Lots to talk about.
But first of all, let's crack on with what's new in the modelling world. And first up, we have from a company called Border. Border Model. Have
Border
you guys
models.
ever heard of
I've heard of
Border?
Border models, yes.
Yes. I've mentioned a few times the
right,
tools and stuff that I've bought from them.
So they're doing in 1/35th scale a T-34E, which is known as a type-spaced armour. It's a T-34/76 112 factory kit.
It's a weird-looking tank.
Now, to sort of describe it, it
looks like
it's
it was
got
built by the British. It does look English.
Well, it's an early T-34, so it's got that stupidly undersized turret. But the box art has like the side skirts, which is unusual.
Very unusual to have side skirts.
T-34.
Yeah. I didn't think side skirts didn't really come until the Germans were using them on their stugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Schusen.
Yeah.
I think it must have got ditched really early.
More
Be-
likely.
I mean, this is a very early era T-34.
Mm.
So I'm guessing that they ditched the those sort of side skirts and just left them open because the mud in the Russian winter.
Yeah, Russian winter, Russian mud. That stuff was like taffy.
What they're saying here is by the beginning of 1943, the modernisation of the T-34/76 was overdue. One of the attempts was the creation of a shielded tank. The Krasnoy Smov plant produced...
that wasn't an actual attempt at pronunciation.
I thought Dave just had a mini stroke.
that particular tank plant produced 68 T-34 tanks with the hull and lower were equipped with bulwarks. The T-34 was fitted with additional side armour, but there was no additional to the front. It's certainly intriguing. If you're a collector and a builder of T-34s, you're certainly going to have to put this into your collection because it is that unusual and different. It still looks like a T-34, but looks like a T-34 that's sort of been eating too many donuts.
Well, to me, it looks like a T-34 that was built by the British.
So we're looking at some of the CAD drawings, and it's got a little bit of interior work in the turret, so you can see down into the gun itself. So if you want to build that, the track work and everything is individual link and
Working suspension.
And you know what? It's not something that I would perhaps say no to, because it's that different a subject that it would be sort of quite appealing.
You know what? Actually, I think it looks like a German take on the T-34. Actually, if you consider like the sort of the Panzer IIIs and IVs with the Scherzen,
Yep.
and the extra sort of
Turret armour.
Where it sits slightly away from the turret itself. It's got that kind of a look to it.
Yep.
So this kit's going to come with photo etch as well, so keep your eye open for that. Border models. The next one we've got is Mini Art. They're doing a 1/35th scale SLA APC T-54 with dozer blade and a full interior kit.
Yeah, so
Interesting subject.
Mini Art released this kit like very, very like less than a month ago, I think, as the standard version, and now they've just released a version with a dozer blade on the front.
It's a great and interesting sort of little subject because it opens up an area where perhaps Russian armour builders sort of haven't gone before.
I reckon everyone's going to jump on this thing. You're going to watch so many of them get built because it'll be, really? There's a Russian T-type tank that doesn't have to be in green?
Or have a turret.
Yeah.
A bright blue? Jeez. And they don't even need to sort of reach for it like some of the German armor guys tend to with their really outrageous sky blue interpretations.
So this model has individual track links. Some clear parts are also included, as well as a photo etch to replicate the thinner parts. Got markings for South Lebanese Army in the early 80s. South Lebanon Army again in the early 80s.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
South Lebanon.
You know, it almost looks like a civilianized tank that's been used for
construction purposes.
Yeah,
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. You can make a really cool sort of snowplow.
One of the best I ever saw was I only ever saw a black and white, very small photo of it. It was a Panther, German Panther, that had been converted into a crane.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's got like the crane box on the top with the cabin and a big long arm. It just looked amazing. It was in France somewhere.
And some of the logging companies up in Washington State and Portland, they also use like ex-army tanks as a basis for cranes when they're doing their logging operations. They're still even working to this day. Some of them. So they're pretty darn cool.
Very cool.
All right, next up we have from Luke Graf, which I've never really heard much about. They do resin aircraft.
Oh, Luke Graf, yeah, they've been around for a while.
And they're doing, they've announced a Westland Wapid.
Wapiti.
Thank you.
Great interwar aircraft.
Now, the scale is 1/32nd, so
these guys would be filling in the hole from wing nuts.
Well, yeah. Well, as you said, they've been doing it for quite some time.
Yeah.
But they're mainly resin aircraft. They've got quite a lot of. I went to the website and had a look at Luke Graff resin kits, and they've got quite a large sort of backlog of kits there that you can go and purchase. And that mainly sort of seem to concentrate in the interwar period,
Yeah.
in and around then.
But it's a nice looking kit.
I've got no idea how well they build. I've never sort of known anybody to build one, so
No.
it'd be interesting to hear from our listeners if anybody has built these before.
Yep.
What they're like. Although some of the I have a look at some of the. I think they've got some pictures of the engine that they're doing, some CAD drawings, and it looks quite detailed actually. So yeah, should be a nice one to keep your eye on. I've got no idea price. There we go. A Jupiter 8F engine, which goes into a PD. Looks quite nice.
Yep.
That's all I've got for what's news in the modelling world. Have you guys got anything new at all?
No, nothing new from me.
Still been a bit quiet
Except
as to
for what
what's
I
sort of
bought.
coming out. Oh yeah. Still been a bit quiet, hasn't it? Really. All right.
Totally agree.
Shall we have a break, or shall we go into listener mail? There's a lot of listener mail, so
We'll have a quick break.
We'll have a quick break. All right, we'll be back very shortly. Fine Scale Modeller is the world's most recognised and essential magazine for modelers, and is available in all good newsagents and newsstands, or wherever you purchase your magazines. Alternatively, go to their website www.finescale.com and subscribe to either a print edition or their digital edition. Go now. Go to www.finescale.com. Okay, and we're back with a absolute ton of listener mail. So let's kick it off. First one is from Paul Brown, who comes from Malmesbury, Wiltshire, UK. And Paul last week became one of our top Patreon supporters.
Ah, good on you.
And I misplaced his email, so I couldn't actually read it out last week.
Dave.
But that's okay. So, well, here it is now. So he writes, "G'day, guys. Many thanks for helping keep me sane during this worldwide madness. I've been away from the hobby for many decades, and although as a key worker here in the UK, he's a manager on air traffic control unit, it has fired my interest back up in the hobby and to start on the stash. His time away didn't stop him buying while he wasn't building."
So he never really stopped.
Yes, that's true. "So I have refreshed my tools, new airbrush, etc., etc. So not quite the guy with all the gear and no idea, but not far off it. My first project is a HK Models 1/32 Meteor F4.
Ooh, nice.
But not wanting to make the easy route in, I'm using one of the excellent Fisher Models F8 conversions. As an aside, if anyone can help Paul Fisher on Facebook and sign his petition for compensation for the California fires back in 2018, 2019.
Oh, that's right, because he lost nearly everything.
Where he lost his home and his workshop and all his stock, and since there's been nothing new from him. So please, everybody, go and have a look at Paul Fisher on Facebook from Fisher Models, and if you contribute something, I'm sure it'll go a long way. Yeah. Anyway, Paul continues. Anyway, back to my question. I have a scheme of airframe silver with Dayglow orange panels all over the airframe. The challenge is, do I spray the whole airframe white, apply the decals, varnish and mask for the silver spray, and the silver and the mask with the white areas?
If it involves masking on top of decals, you should stay away from that.
I always tend to.
You can do that as long as you put down a protective coat of...
It doesn't always work.
Really? You guys have had issues, have
Yeah,
you?
sometimes you can put a couple of coats of clear over the top, and if the decal hasn't bonded properly, as soon as you lift that mask, decal comes with it.
Yeah, because like people like to think that like the clear coat is like a steel plate, right, that goes over the top of your decal.
That's how I think of it.
Right? No. Because basically, if you think of it more like loose dirt,
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that the adhesion has nothing to do with the clear coat. It's to do with the adhesion behind the decal,
Okay.
which is never going to be very strong.
No.
Right.
You put something that's tacky enough, and doesn't need to be very tacky at all.
Yeah.
Put that over top, it's just going to come straight off.
Yeah. So yeah, I would probably do the silver first.
But you can get around it in other ways. Like if you just cut out a piece of paper that's the same shape as your decal, put that on top of your decal area, and then mask over. Right? You haven't actually got anything tacky touching the decal.
Yeah, just use a paper mask.
Okay. That's very clever, but a lot of fiddly work.
Yep.
But in 1/32, he'd probably get away with it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good chance of, yeah. The only other way, the method I found with the least amount of tack usually is Post-it notes.
Yeah.
But you run the risk with Post-it notes being so low tack that as soon as you start hitting it with the airbrush,
It blows them off.
Yeah, they blow everywhere, and you end up with all these little squares floating around everywhere and paint where you don't want it.
Paul continues on with his second question is regarding pre-shading. He fully gets the effect of dark panel lines, which looks good when the top coat is applied. But when you apply the decals over the finish, you get prestige colours over faded and worn effects. What would you recommend to alleviate the effect other than spraying the markings on?
Post shading, which is a scary thing.
Yeah.
I don't post shade because it can look absolutely fantastic, but you can ruin your kit real easy if you're not careful.
But again, with your post shading, wouldn't you do it over the top of a gloss coat so that you're not? You can just rub it off if it doesn't look.
Oh yeah. But still, it's
I don't know. I mean, like, how easy is it to rub off paint?
Yeah.
And then still leave the work you've done underneath untouched? I mean, that's pretty.
You gotta be very careful. There's some very fine sandpaper.
The way to sort of approach it cautiously is to start with the most thinned down sort of paint you can possibly get.
Yep.
Right. Something that looks like slightly dirty water.
Yep.
As in your airbrush cup.
Yep.
And then when you spray it, like, you have to be able to spray it so that, on the same spot constantly for a while before you even start to see
the colour.
See the colour build up.
That's how, like, thin down it should sort of be, so that you're approaching it from a very cautious point. And even as you airbrush, you should probably, like, get up, walk away, come back every as you go along. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see the difference until it's too late.
Yep. Fully agree with you there, Julian. Fully agree.
Well, so it looks like the alternative is then to get mask sets and spray it on.
Yeah.
Okay. So Paul says, keep up the good work, and all the freebies are gratefully received. Ha, ha, ha. Regards from Paul. And then, of course, because I forgot to read that out, he then set up a following one. It says, g'day down there from up here. After someone may have forgotten my questions from last week, well done, Dave, I have a tip from the past which has served me well. It may be a bit old school, but it still works perfectly. It's that old favourite, weight in aircraft nose and securing it. So his ingredients list is lead shot and blue tack. You take a small amount of blue tack and knead in the lead shot, as in knead as if you're kneading in bread,
Yep.
until it's about 95% lead, and then you use small amounts to poke it into the darker reaches, like Dave's wallet, he says. Very funny, Paul. And hey, presto, you have secured weight, and unlike the original securing agent, plasticine, this never shrinks or dries out. Just one word of caution, do not touch the joining faces of the kit where you are going to run glue, as it will not adhere if you do. He says you're welcome, keep up the good work, and hope you get to have a shared breakfast when you record the next episode. Keep safe,
Which
Paul.
we did.
We did indeed.
Yes.
Done and dusted.
So it's not a bad little trick, you guys.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Next up, we have Joe Amarino. Sorry, Joel. Joel Amarino. Sorry, I'm just misreading that. And Joel hails from Northern California, and he writes in, G'day, benches. I took up modelling life late, around 40, which is about 3 years ago. I haven't built a plane, ship or tank or armour, but I enjoy your show. I found it during quarantine out here in Northern California. The models I work on are mostly 1/25th scale cars.
Cool.
I'm obviously nowhere near the model as you are, but I try to pick up on things you guys talk about and apply the tips on what I'm working. Thanks for a cool show, Joel in Northern California.
You're welcome, Joel.
A 1/25th scale model, a car model. Well, there you go.
1/25th, is that
That's not
muscle cars? Is
muscle
it?
cars, yeah. They're usually 1/24 or 1/25th scale.
Oh, wow.
So obviously he's a man to my own heart. Likes his muscle
Oh,
cars.
there you go, Joel. You've got a fan. Jared Nuss writes in, and Jared hails from Williamsburg, Virginia. During your discussion of where to buy kits in aftermarket, I had a question. If Photo Etch is our friend, how do you go about choosing who to be friends with? What's the best way to find what aftermarket is available for a particular kit and how good it is, or if I can work it for more than one kit? ScaleMates is making it a bit easier lately, but how do you decide where to buy before that was available in case ScaleMates doesn't have any info for the kit's aftermarket stuff?
Yeah, that was usually one of those things where you spend about 4 hours online just searching, and it's a long process. Back then, you had to go through and all the main companies you knew that did, like Edward or Tom's Model Works or White Ensign Models or so forth, and you'd go to their websites and you'd just scroll through everything till you found what you were looking for.
I'd probably start with like looking at other people's builds and see what
Yes.
aftermarket
Yep.
they've used.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's another way of doing it.
Yeah, particularly the forums. So on a lot of the forums, you'll have a build section where people show what they're building and they go through a step process.
Yeah.
Brit Modeler is one that comes to mind. Fine Scale Modelling Magazine has a forum. There's one for ships as well.
Yep.
What's the track ones that Russ Green does?
Wheels and
not Russ Green.
Is it TrackLink?
Tracklink.
TrackLink, yes.
Yeah,
Then you
TrackLink.
got Hyperscale.
Hyperscale, yeah. So all of those forums, if you go, there's a section where what's on your bench or something similar like that, and people actually display what they're building, but they also talk about what additions they've got for the kit. And that's a good starting point to actually go and
look, most photo etch companies do great jobs, but some of them, their instructions are very lacking.
True.
Very lacking. Like I love Tom's Model Works photo etch. I reckon it's really well produced, well produced, but their instructions, you got to do a lot of studying when you use their instructions. They're very vague.
There are the other thing I would say is maybe join a model club maybe.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, when I first got back into modelling, I didn't know what was out there. Like I didn't know if there was a kit of a given subject. I didn't know that. Like say, well, like when I first joined our club, we were doing the dive anti-submarine theme
Display, yep.
and I wanted to contribute, but the best I could do is type in submarine into Google and see what it popped up, and it doesn't give you much.
No.
And then later on, it's sort of like, I could have done this, I could have done that, could have done. It's like there's so many subjects that the only way you're going to know about it is if someone talks about it.
Correct.
In
exactly
conversation, like just like you can spend an hour talking to a bunch of modelers, and you'll learn more about subjects and the kits available and what aftermarket and how good they are, and you'll pick it up really quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Within like a year of joining a club, you'll in any sort of given field that you have an interest in, you'll have probably learnt of every available kit and aftermarket and what's good and all that sort of thing, and you just pick it up really quickly.
Yep.
And generally speaking, there's a lot of aftermarket companies that are associated with particular genres, like Tom's Model Works, for example, for ships. White Ensign,
Also for ships.
Pontus is another one for ships and tanks. Orange Hobby is for tanks and ships.
Edward does nearly everything.
Yeah. The list goes on and on and on and on. But after a while, you'll get to know what particular brands of aftermarket companies do for particular genres of
Correct.
models.
Yep.
So I hope you answered that question.
And I think there's not a genre out there of modelling that there probably wouldn't be photo etch available for.
Or some other type of like a resin product or
Yep.
something like that. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Absolutely. Next email comes from Sean Vale Rhodes, who hails from Richmond, Virginia. Gee, what has we got all these Virginians writing in?
That's
Isn't that
great,
That's
isn't it?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Must be a real mega sort of state for building for
Models,
modelers out
yeah.
there. So Sean writes in, greetings benches from the great Commonwealth of Virginia.
The Commonwealth. Oh, he's going old school, isn't he? The
He's
Commonwealth of
very
Virginia.
old school, yeah. Back when it was owned by
The British.
Yeah, before they had their first civil war. Oh, did I say that?
Naughty.
Oh, that's going to really throw the cat among the pigeons. Anyway, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Just got a chance to finish listening to your last podcast, and it was outstanding as usual. Thanks for great tips and websites, by the way. I've already been on the HobbyLink Japan site! !
It's big, isn't it?
You can spend a lot of money there. And let me offer up one for you guys from the US, SprueBrothers.com.
Oh, yes, I've dealt with Sprue Brothers.
Yeah.
Great guys to deal with. They're
Absolutely.
very, very good.
Their website is great, easy to navigate, and the service is top-notch.
Correct, yep.
Anyway, it was really interesting listening to Dave and Julian debate the pros and cons of brick and mortar. Then it finally dawned on me. I think the difference in our model purchasing preference are probably generational. For people of my age, and I'll be 56 next month, says Sean, the internet is a thing that happened during our lifetime. Our earliest experiences around modelling involved going to the hobby shop, picking out a model, and maybe some paint and glue, occasionally finding some aftermarket decals. And, of course, getting the appropriate squadron signal reference book.
Yes.
It was an experience. It was tactile. Online shopping is a good option, but not necessarily a go-to. I still love going to the hobby store that's about an hour away from me in Newport News, Virginia. Shout out to Denby Hobby Centre and perusing the shoals for hours. Newport News, that's where they build all the big aircraft carriers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, they've got big shipyards there.
Oh, that'd be awesome to go out and see that. He goes on, for younger folks, the internet and internet shopping has always been there, so that's their experience.
Yep.
Neither is better than the other. It's just a difference in their experience. Anyway, it's a great topic. Keep up the super work. That's Sean from Richmond, Virginia.
Thanks, Sean.
What do you reckon of that, Julian?
I guess.
Generational.
I'm not sure if I'm all that hooked up to the internet as far as compared to generations younger than me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
But
I'm not one of those people who can like get on their phone and just go blah, like that and just type out a message in like 2 seconds flat.
I see it with some of the apprentices at my work, and when they got a spare bit of time, they're just on their phones. It's all they do. It's just boom. And the world could be burning around them, but they're still on their phones.
But are you more likely to purchase a kit online than you are to go out of your way to go to a hobby shop?
Depending on the price, Dave.
No, I'm not. Price doesn't really.
Well, sometimes it does for me because I find I do most of my shopping on B&A.
Yeah.
Because I find with B&A, I can buy my kit and buy all my aftermarket at once.
That's true.
I go to a hobby shop, I can usually just buy the kit.
That's true also.
Sometimes the kit is a lot more expensive because they have higher overheads, which is fair enough. You got to expect they've got to pay their bills, they've got to pay their rent, they've got to pay their water, they've got to pay their employees. But
see,
the thing is like aftermarket is kind of a thing you just have to buy online, right?
It's very rare for a store to stock up. And when they do store aftermarket, it's like I know the hobby man down here 5 minutes from my home. I go and they got some aftermarket. They got aftermarket there, but they don't even have the kits for the aftermarket. And it's like, it's bizarre. You think if you're going to have all this aftermarket, at least have the kit on the shelf.
Yeah, I know. The thing is that if I buy a kit from a bricks and mortar, it's sort of like, well, I'm going to have to get aftermarket for this thing.
Yeah.
Because that's what I like to do. But I don't know if any of it's available until I get on the internet. So I may as well look up everything on the internet and know what's available before I even purchase the kit. Because if there's nothing available and it's all like sort of aftermarket that's out of production, I'll never be able to get it. What's the point?
Yeah.
I'd rather build something else.
Yeah, but see, going to a hobby store for me is like going into somebody's stash and being a picker, and it's there. And I don't mind paying an extra $10-20 above what perhaps I can get online, because I'm comfortable enough in and quite happy to support bricks and mortar. And as I said, we've got 15 hobby stores within an hour and a half of where we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
And they've got to be doing something right for that many stores to still be in just one city.
Correct.
So I don't mind going and doing that, and I don't mind paying above prices and what perhaps I would get, because I'm saving on postage anyway. And I don't mind supporting, because if I don't support these hobby stores,
Postage, what's that?
because you buy so many kits and B&A, you get postage free.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, there's quite a few bricks and mortar stores, and they're offering that as well.
Yeah.
They're offering that to their normal, what you can go in and buy off their shelves.
Yep.
So
they're responding to the market sort of needs and demands, and they're doing that.
have you noticed that if you buy stuff online and the shipping's free, right, that is cheaper than actually going to a bricks and mortar hobby shop, because you still have to pay for fuel and stuff to drive there.
True, but I'm not. But 9 times out of 10, if I go to a hobby store, I'll generally ring up Ian and say, "Hey, I'm planning a trip. Do you want to come with me?"
Also, this sort of
and we're having an experience together. We're sharing mateship and fellowship in modelling by going together, and we talk all this sort of crap in the cars we're driving along, and we listen to to my terrible choice in music, or as we're going along, and we'll get a coffee, and you know what it is. If it's the afternoon, we might stop and get a beer, but that's all part of it.
Yeah, but I get that sort of thing from model clubs.
Well, I'm not arguing that that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying this is my experience.
Fair enough. It's just.
Oh, look, I agree with Dave. It's great to support the local hobby stores.
Oh no, see, like
don't have a problem with that at all.
I think of supporting hobby stores as kind of like, well, even if we were to assume that modelling is only, going up in popularity, supporting hobby stores is still like using a paper cup to get rid of the water that's slowly sinking a battleship, right? You're really not doing them any favours, because it's still going to go under.
Oh, I don't know about that. No, I disagree with that.
Look, there's no way that they can remain competitive against online stores. There's just no way.
Well, they are. Well, again, I come back. There's 15 model shops within an hour and a half drive from where we sit right now. One's only 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah, and then I would say to you, given how many there are, how many have closed down? And how many of them have bought out because they had to go out of business?
But the fact you've still got 15...
Yeah, but there used to be more.
Well, there is, but the fact you've got 15... I mean, obviously the market's going to reach a level where it's only going to support what's out there. And obviously this has reached that point. You had a new one start up 2 or 3 years ago, Battlefield Hobbies over in the other side of Melbourne. And he's going gangbusters. So it's there.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yep.
What a contentious issue.
It is very contentious. Next, we have an email from David Waples, and David writes in, "Greetings, benchers. I enjoyed listening to your podcast today, but when Julian started talking about the lack of US supply options and mentioned our choice being Hobby Lobby, I nearly fell out of my chair." Oh, Julian has that effect on
I know people. I hear Hobby Lobby. I mean, obviously, I don't live there, so I don't actually know what the experience is like, right? But Hobby Lobby is supposed to be pretty crap, is it not?
Well, it is, because David writes on, that's about the last place most of us would go. There are actually some great online suppliers in the US, and here's a list of a few of them that I'm aware of. Sprue Brothers, probably the best, which we mentioned just before. Free Time Hobbies.
I've dealt with those guys a lot of times. I can't recommend them enough.
I have too.
They are great to deal with.
Which one?
Free Time Hobbies.
Free Time Hobbies, probably the best source in the US for ship subjects.
Correct, yep.
And they were recently outbid on their bricks and mortar store and had to move to a warehouse, but they're coming back. If you want some great deals and some items, check out their clearance page.
Because that was the only store that I could get U-boat laboratorium kits.
Oh, was it really?
Before U-boat laboratorium got bought out by Combrig, because they supply, I'm pretty sure they still do, were supplying Combrig kits. And Combrig kits from Russia are very hard to get your hands on.
Yeah, I've got to agree with David there, and Ian also. Free Time Hobbies is a great one. He goes on, megahobby.com is another large on retail
Yeah, I've heard
seller.
of Mega Hobby, yep.
And of course, squadron.com, another large online seller. US Gundam, excellent supplier of paints and everything Gundam. There's lots of suppliers in this category, but I'm not familiar with most of them, as it's not my thing. And in fact, USA Gundam sells SMS paints, Australian paints as well now.
Oh, really? Wow.
Hobby World USA, Julian had that one right. He works out of his house, but he is a top shelf supplier, great source of paints and supplies. InternetHobbies.com is another one. UMM USA, an amazing source of tools and European short-run kits. But in the US, John is our tool guy.
USA.
Yeah, UMM USA.
That rings a bell for
I'll
some
have to check
reason.
that out. I haven't heard of that, but that sounds fascinating. I'll check that out when I get home.
Michigan Toy Soldier,
I've
great
heard of them.
source
They've
for
been
figures and accessories.
They've been around since Cocky was an egg.
I've never heard
And
that expression.
You haven't
before.
heard that expression? Well, you know how old cockatoos live, don't you? A captured cockatoo can live up to 100 years.
Yeah.
So when you say it's around since Cocky was an egg, it means it's been around
Okay.
for a long, long time.
And the last one Dave mentions is lastcavalry.com, another great source for figures and accessories.
Yes, last cabinet. I'm pretty sure they were big on the polyonic stuff.
David says, trust me, no shortage of places to spend our money in the USA. There are also many cottage industry folks here too. You guys be well, and I look forward to your next episode from David.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Now, the next one we have is from Wolfgang Tessel, I believe it is. Hi, Dave. Hope you're well. Just to follow up on a message I sent to you over Messenger, we are hoping to attract modelers with a wide range of specialties. As such, we want to ensure that the judging panel reflects this. So what they're talking about is Walter from spraygunner.com looking to do a online model show. And they were hoping that somebody from amongst us, looking at Julian,
Okay.
would like to be a judge in that. They've also roped in our friends from Scale Model Podcast as well. So Stuart is actually going to be doing that as well. So what I might do, I might flick this across to you, Julian, and then you can sort of get in touch with Dan and perhaps look into this a bit deeper, seeing you're our resident judge.
Yeah, okay.
Be something interesting.
Something interesting.
Word of warning, though,
What's that?
right? If the photos don't have like decent resolution and nice and clear and stuff, my
Attention span.
my patience wears extremely thin. Right? If it looks like it was taken with like the the shoebox with the pinhole in it and all that.
Oh, the brownie camera.
Like if it looks like it was taken with
that.
that or like a digital camera from like the 90s. Nah, I'm just gonna go, well, I can't see anything here, so come back later.
Be warned. Julian's a tough critic.
Let's have a look what the next one is.
While I'm on that,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm not a fan of your blue backdrop photography. Ian.
Why not? What's wrong with fine scale modeler blue?
No.
That's what I call it, because the same blue they used on fine scale modeler in the 80s.
Nah, I'm not a fan.
What
Because it makes everything look like it's blue. Like it looks like everything's tinted blue to some degree.
What colour backdrop would you do if you're doing photography?
Black or white or grey in between.
Okay.
Right? You start introducing colours in there, it throws off your perception.
So no point putting like a tie-dye T-shirt behind there.
No. Have you ever seen like people who do the green screen
Yeah.
chroma key stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you can actually see like the glowiness of the green sort of getting reflected onto their clothing, and then that gets keyed out as well.
Yep.
You know, that's the kind of thing. Like that's the kind of thing I would like to avoid when it comes to modeling photos. Right. Because if you have any kind of like reflection of that blue going up onto your model, it's changing the way it's perceived. In
So in
negative
other words,
way.
I've got to go buy myself a new backdrop.
Or what, like a white piece of paper? Don't hurt yourself.
No, I use card stock.
Yeah,
Big
cardstock's the
card
best one,
stock,
yeah.
because you can actually stand it up because paper will just fold over and fall onto your kit all the time.
Actually, I need to go and buy some too. A backdrop. I don't. So the trouble with black is you need some really good lights to overcome the blackness.
Black is harder to make work with photography.
Yeah.
But, oh man, it makes everything look so classy.
As long as you've got the right lighting for it, though. So I think white is perhaps the next one for me to use.
I'd go grey.
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 A light grey or a dark grey?
White would be you'd be too glary, I think. White. Yeah, I'd probably go probably a light grey.
The advantage of white is that you can get a lot of sort of light bouncing off,
reflective
off it and
light.
Sort of, really sort of illuminating the underside of a plane or the underside of the hull or something like that. And you can get like if you just want to show off your work, that's the best way to do it, right? But if you want it to make it look classy, you go sort of darker backdrop like black or very dark greys or something.
Oh, I'm not a very classy photographer, so I'll just go and use a light grey, I think.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, next email is from Jay Lloyd Smith. And Jay writes, "Hi, everyone. I'm Jay. I was the one who is the visually impaired guy from the US. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yes.
So we've got a visually impaired guy. We've got a guy who's got one arm. We've got... And I just can't believe these guys are modelling. I mean, we sit there and curse and swear about our inabilities, and these guys are just powering through
motor
it.
on, yeah.
Anyway, I've got a question mainly for Dave. I know how he's into ships, well, actually Ian as well. I'm trying to see if there's a 1/400 scale of the Britannic, which is Titanic's slightly bigger sister ship, which sunk in 1916 after hitting mine close to the island of Key. I also figured if worst came to worst, I could get another 1/400 scale Titanic model and just paint the outer hull to so it's recognisable white with green band and 3 red crosses down the side. I lost my sight after knowing what Titanic looked like, so I'm not sure how the Britannic looked in her day. My question is, was Britannic's A-deck promenade enclosed in the front like Titanic, or was it open like her older sibling Olympic? Also, are there any modelling companies that make Britannic model? Love listening to your shows, but could you do more on cars, pickups, or big rigs? I'm more of an automobile enthusiast myself. Take care and stay safe throughout this pandemic. That's from Jay. Well, Jay, we actually did a show on trucks some time ago.
A while ago, wasn't
Have we done a show on cars?
Yes, we've spoken about cars.
Probably.
We've spoken about cars.
I'm sure we have. We've gone through like entire sort of periods of like. I think during like the winter season, we're usually making car models for the Waverley Interclub event.
Correct.
Yeah. We should. Well,
that's what I need to get into. I need to, because I don't know if that event will end up being cancelled or not. Maybe not. But I really want to sort of get on top. I don't want to have to be like spraying clear coats and like worrying about getting that in at the last second.
Well, actually, Jay, I had a look, and there is no company that actually produces a 1/400th scale Britannic kit. So, and I had a good look around the internet. So you're going to have to grab a Titanic kit and just use the actual model as a base and just use your different colours. Onto the question whether Britannic's A-deck promenade was enclosed like Titanic or was it open like a sister ship Olympic. I haven't got that deep in it yet, so I can't really answer that question just yet. Hopefully maybe one of our other listeners might be able to answer that and send us an email on that. And if you do want to send an email, our email address is onthebench64@gmail.com. Thanks very much for your email, Jay, and keep building away. Rightio. Next one is from... Oh, geez, guys, why do you guys have such funny surnames?
Good on you, Dave.
It's Emil...
One day, Dave.
Gowanzik. Gawazziuk.
Dave,
Galzik.
one day, there'll be a modeler named John Smith.
Oh,
and you'll
please,
be happy.
If there's a John Smith out there, send me that. So Emil writes in, "Good day, gents. Greetings from Langley, British Columbia, Canada. Great podcast with a perfect balance of info, advice, and a bit of a laugh. Especially we've got Julian here with us. The perfect soundtrack to my Sunday walk, regain some sanity time. Recently back into the hobby a couple of years ago, and picking away at a kit for a couple of months is just the relaxation I need most of the time. I agree a display base adds some context to a model. A little vignette to add some context to the work is a great way of going. Nothing large or complex. Most of the ones I see barely fit the model and adds to the picture as a whole. Going to kill two birds with one stone. As I recall, Dave, I think, had picked up a Warhammer bomber thing. Yes, I have, and it's nearly finished. Oddly, I grabbed one a while back and as an unusual painting exercise. Did mine in yellow. Well, I was thinking of doing mine in yellow, but I was...
Game man, yellow's a horrible colour to paint.
I was thinking of doing mine in yellow as I wanted something to practice, figure out how to paint yellow as a conundrum before I laid it down. Mr. Surfacer 1500 Grey turns out work wonders under Tamiya Yellow and Mission Models Highway Yellow, which is perhaps the best way of going. The other more complex model was a Mission Yellow, which is pretty much that he did on an old Cat tractor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's attached pictures of both.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, carry on the great work and keep it up. That's from Emil in Langley, British Columbia.
Thank you.
And thanks for your pictures too. And I've got to say, my Orc bomber looks very similar to yours, except I chose to do mine in a red rather than a yellow because I was sort of a bit of a scaredy cat.
And red goes, and according to orc mythology, red goes faster.
Red does go faster. Oh, jeez. All right. Next one comes from Dale Tice. And Dale writes, thanks to you and yourself, Ian and Julian, for assisting with my inquiry. I've been doing some research on greys and slowly building up a nice collection of chips. I'll definitely reach out if I need assistance. We'll keep you up to date via... This is the chap who is going to... Dale's building the Bismarck. And he wrote in asking us for a question on what greys to get.
Oh, right, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, the Kriegsmarine Greys.
Terrific. There we go. Our good old friend Ethan writes in. Ethan Idenmill, who comes from San Diego. He's a webmaster for the IPMS San Diego chapter out there. And he's also a proud Patreon supporter. And Ethan writes in, G'day benches. I hope I pronounced that right. Oh, you smarty.
You did it well.
Yeah. I have a couple of responses to the two last episodes. First, regarding Julian's idea of having, with a kit instructions, a guide to aftermarket parts that are available. I have a series of books for ship modelling called Shipcraft, which goes into the history of particular class of ships and markings and its colour guide.
I've got a ton of those books. They are brilliant.
It also reviews the kits and aftermarket parts that are available and provides examples of models of the subject that people have built. These are not included with any kit. You have to buy them separately. Also, the range of subjects is dependent upon the publisher, but they do have some books for armour and aircraft as well. The issue I have found with them is that the kits and aftermarket parts, particularly for very popular subjects, can change rapidly and thus render those parts of the books partially or mostly obsolete.
Yep.
Good point. Secondly, regarding sources for kits here in the USA, I tend to buy from three big online retailers. Squadron Mail Order is a good one for mainstream military kits. I tend to order aftermarket parts and supplies from Sprue Brothers. And Free Time Hobbies is my go-to shop, however, for the harder-to-find kits, aftermarket for ships and science fiction.
Yep.
For bricks and mortar shops, I have to mention Brookhorst Hobbies in Orange County, California. Their selection is excellent for both kits and aftermarket, for which they have a website for online ordering as well as great service. Thank you, Steve, which has kept Ethan afloat during the lockdown. Also have to mention Discount Hobby Warehouse, which was where I went before the lockdown on a regular basis for kits and model supplies, and has just recently been allowed to resume business on a limited basis. That is from Ethan. And Ethan...
Well, that's strange, because out here down here in Victoria, the hobby shops have just kept going through all this.
They did, but what they did was they would only allow one person in the shop at a time.
Yep.
Or
one person per aisle.
Yeah, one
person per aisle. or you could order from them and go to the shop and do a pickup.
Pick up from the front door, yeah.
Which I thought was a clever idea. Ethan also writes in one more addendum to regarding online vendors. I also tend to buy PE, especially for ships, directly from Tom's Model Works, which is based in Orange County as well. Richard Harden, who owns it, is a good friend of mine, going back to the IPMS Nationals back in 2010, and is one of the nicest folks in the modelling community. I also buy a lot from him at IPMS Nationals, so a lot of my interactions with him cross over into the swap meet realm as well. Best regards, Ethan. Well, maybe we need to think about getting Richard Harden on the show. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah,
to hear from him.
Like I said, I like his photo etch.
I do like his photo etch. Rightio. Now, I think that is about it, although there are a couple of messages I got into our Facebook, and I've just got to dig into them. So while you guys have a quick chat amongst yourselves while I dig this out.
Chat amongst ourselves, Julian.
Right.
What are you going to chat about, Julian?
Do you have any plans on making a car anytime soon?
Ooh, I could probably be pushed into building a car soon. Why? Do you want to go on a car build, do you?
Well, I mean, like I've still got to do the Musaru Cup thing on the way up, but I could be convinced to do a car.
What sort of car? Oh, you'd do one of those Lanciers or something, though, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily.
You do a cool car?
To be honest, I want a car that'll show off a nice clear coat. So something like with curves.
Oh, you want like a classic Mopar?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh, I know. What was they, a 43 Willys? The Revell and Monogram bought out?
What?
Not a Willys Jeep, a Willys.
I was going to say, that's not a lot of curves on that.
No, these things were great. These things were great, the Willys. They used to turn them... I remember you used to be able to get a kit of it, and it was like you get like a hot rod version or a dragster version, and they were a really cool looking car, and they got lots of curves on them.
Okay.
Or you could look for an early 50s Mercury coupe. There's something that you can turn into a lead sled and have something... And they look great in metallic greens.
I saw a model done recently, and it was of like an old BMW.
All right, yeah.
Right? And, something that I've always wanted, like, how, apparently a lot of the cars, proper car model is not just like, dabblers like us. They'll use like the, what do you call it? The chrome, adhesive chrome or whatever it is. What's it called?
Oh, the bare metal foil.
Bare metal foil,
yep.
Right. Well, this guy didn't use bare metal foil for his window frames.
No.
And the windscreen specifically, it was chrome with black rubber type seals on either side of it.
Wow.
And he just painted the whole lot.
That's pretty...
almost the whole lot, actually. So he did the chrome first, then he painted the rubber on the inside, but then on the outside... he had like strips of tape or something that he just cut into super thin strips and just went around it.
Wow. Fascinating.
Like when you add it all up and everything, and he also sprayed the chrome trim that like that runs down the side of the car and stuff like that.
Yep.
It was really nice.
Looks nice. Oh, cool.
It's all those little details that really make a car look convincing, doesn't it? Yeah.
Totally agree.
I kind of want to now that I've seen it done and just so I can get that extra, defining step if I just do some more careful masking and take the time to do it.
Yep.
Kind of makes me want to do it.
I'll have to look through my stash.
Right, still back with some more listener mail and stuff. Ben Hall writes in, I was disappointed that you didn't take the time to go through the local hobby shops because your understanding of the amount of brick and mortar shops seems more enlightened than I was aware. Hobby HQ near me encompasses all aspects of your overview, and he's only open on Saturday for short periods and does a great deal of mail order. He works from a small factory outlet in Thomastown Industrial Estate. I have to say his pricing is the best in Australia across his whole stock. Well,
I've been there. I've been in his store. It's a warehouse.
It is. But the reason why I didn't go into too much detail about our local stuff is because we have the majority of all, it was an international sort of flavour.
This is a worldwide podcast.
So I actually wrote back and he understands why we sort of didn't go that. So Daniel Baxter, this is going back to where you're going to be a judge. So
okay.
This is what Daniel Baxter wrote in. Hi, I am helping spraygunner.com with a new events and competition group that they'll be running a competition in the near future where modelers will be asked to post photos of a build of a kit that was painted in mission model paints. Prizes will be airbrushes and paint sets. And we're hoping to have a wide range of subjects and techniques represented as possible in both the judging panel and competition entries. And as such, we'd like to invite you, Julian, or to help join our judging panel of the competition. So I said to Daniel to go ahead and actually paste the link to that on our Facebook page. So if you're interested in going into the scale modelling contests and events, which is run by spraygunner.com, either go to spraygunner.com direct yourself or perhaps have a look at the link on our Facebook page. So thanks very much, Daniel. And if you could send me an email of your email address, I will pass it on to Julian so you can give him all the details that you need to.
Nice.
Right, next up we have from Chris Marsden. Guys, I've been listening in from the UK since episode 1, and the podcast continues to go from strength to strength. Yeah, the early episodes weren't their best we've ever done, were they?
We won't go there.
I recently had a go at my first ship, which is the 1/350 scale Revell Tirpitz Platinum kit that includes the etched barrels and deck, which are picked up for £60.
Nice.
Not a bad price.
Not a bad price at all.
I'm thoroughly enjoying the build, but despite watching YouTube builds and reading everything I can get my hands on, I'm still struggling with a sequence on which to do everything and wondered if you can have another but more detailed run through the steps involved. For instance, I've reworked the funnel, removing the plastic details from the top of the funnel, which was fun, and replaced it with etched ladders and rails, etc. I'm now wondering how to achieve the camo scheme without damaging the etch. And I can't see how I could apply the etch if I've painted the funnel first. So what's the best way to get the deck down so it doesn't lift in... Also, what's the best way of getting the deck down so it doesn't lift in the future? I'm sure there are other such issues to come from the future as I progress through the build. Anything you could offer in terms of such as part of a ship master class would be appreciated. Best wishes and keep up the good work, Chris.
Yeah, masking once you put your photo etch on is a fun job. Not.
No, and...
Because what I do, I tend to paint them all separately and then glue it on later.
Which...
Like your little rails around funnels and so forth. Because otherwise it's too hard to mask around those rails on the funnel. Like if you're doing like a splinter camouflage or
so these are the
like
sides of the funnel.
Yeah, things like that, yeah.
Okay. Your handrails and so forth.
As someone who's never done that, because I don't build enough ships, right? The first thing I would do is I'd use that metal primer type stuff, so that when I do put some kind of sticky
etch primer, you mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't use just the regular primer or just the paint.
No, because it will just peel.
It'll just lift
off.
right off, right? And that's the last thing you want to happen when you're doing something delicate like that, because then you'll just throw a fit and you break something.
Yes.
So I would use that. You can get the brush on kind.
Yeah.
So I would just brush that on, and then I would approach it from there. I would probably not use actual tape. I'd probably go for something like a post-it note or something super low tack, so that I can get it on and I can get it off without...
Yeah, but the problem is, Julian, is that you've got a flat surface, which is the side of your funnel, and you've got all these rails that stick out 90 degrees. And there's usually about 7 to 10 of them going up the funnel.
Yeah, especially Japanese funnels and their ships are notorious.
These things are like super thin.
And super delicate.
And delicate. So to try and get tape around those, as you're masking up the side of the funnel, then you've got to go over one of those, then go up a little bit further, and over the next one. You run such a risk as soon as you start trying to lift that tape off. Yeah, everything to come with it.
There's nothing you can really do about it once you've already glued it on.
Yeah.
So the best way
would be just try and mask it the best way you can. It's going to be a pain in the backside to mask. You're going to be cutting up tiny little bits of masking tape and very delicately putting it on there.
No. You know how I would do it?
How?
I would have two post-it notes, right, stuck to each other, so that just a little V shape on the end. that I can just put over the photo etch, right? Like,
oh yeah, I know
right?
what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah. And then so like I just place that over the edge of the photo etch where you need to paint that area.
Colour.
Spray it, then move to the next one. Spray it, and just keep lifting it off and putting it on.
Yeah,
the next
like
one.
making a non-stick mask.
Yeah.
That's a interesting way of doing it. I have to look into that. That's a.
The way I'd tackle it is I would paint the actual plastic kit with the splinter camouflage first.
Put the photo etch on.
Put the photo etch on, but the photo etch is pre-painted in a grey, which is to the grey colour. When I'm putting the photo etch on, I'm not using super glue. I'm using that Gator, not Gator Grip. Is it Gator Grip?
Gator Grip.
Gator Grip. It's that white glue type stuff, because when it dries clear. And then go back over with a very tiny brush and just brush paint the other colour onto the photo etch.
The black and the white.
Yeah, that's the way I'd do it.
Yeah.
And it just takes time. But if you're doing it as a sub-assembly, so your funnel is going to be on part of a superstructure so that you can work on that separately without having to sort of reach over the actual model
because
itself.
the last thing you want to do is just try and do that while it's attached to the actual hull.
Chris goes on also to say he's also going to struggle getting the deck down on the upper decks, as he's glued 2 or 3 of the decks together already, and coming to the conclusion that I should have left the gluing of individual decks together until the end. As I said, the deeper dive into the steps would be great, as I've ground to half the mark after half of making good progress, and I've been procrastinating now.
Well, I always do the whole deck anyway.
I do the whole deck to start with.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with having the whole deck together.
But not the superstructures on top.
No, superstructures go on later.
Yep.
So I have a deck build, which is the hull on the deck, superstructure builds, funnels, guns.
Yep.
Then everything goes together. Then you finish it off with a photo etch.
Yeah. Yep.
Now with lifting of
all these sort of issues that he's having,
but
they tend to be like these are
we're all having.
coming to grips with the intricacies of ship models.
Yeah.
And once you get an idea of the challenges involved, you'll be able to plan them out better next time.
But I know Chris was also saying about the re-gluing the wooden decks. Yeah, that's a good idea. I've learnt that lesson with the Shikaku.
Yeah.
In future, I will be not relying on the adhesiveness of the wooden deck that I was supplied, because it's crap. And I'll just use some woodworking glue.
Yeah.
Lay it down on that and put some weights on it so it keeps it nice and flat, and leave it there for 48 hours. Don't touch it for 2 days. Just let it bond, and then you'll know once it's on there, it ain't moving.
Yeah. I feel your pain, but you know what? After he gets through this ship, when he goes to his next one, he'll be better armed and equipped with knowledge moving forward.
Exactly.
And this is where ships are so much more complicated than, say, armour or anything else, especially when you get a lot of photo etch involved, because you've really got to sit and plan out what parts and ahead what you're doing
and
first.
you've got to be so careful and and it's so delicate work too.
It is.
It is very delicate work.
Yep.
So feel your pain, but also...
well, hopefully our suggestions may have helped.
Yeah, I hope so. Next we have from Scott Passionek, writes in. Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Scott, if I butchered that. Hey, fellas, I've been listening for a couple of weeks now and really enjoy the show. Your shows always have content I'm interested in, and I enjoy the banter. I've been listening while working, and I do a lot of inner city driving, so you're keeping me well entertained. I have a YouTube channel called Small Soldier, and it's all military modelling related. I know it's what it's like to try and stay consistent and entertaining, and how much work goes into putting a channel together. So good on you, mates, for your hard work.
Thank you.
And if anybody Googles Small Soldier, you'll come across, and I'll copy this link across to our Facebook page too. And he just writes on, he says, it's funny because I was searching for modelling related podcasts 4 or 5 years ago, and all I could find was wargaming types, and was wondering why nobody had done a modelling podcast. So, and now they're popping up all over the place, so it's really good to
I think
see.
we started something.
Yeah, we did indeed.
Dave did.
Well,
yeah, Dave did.
All credit to the
To the
yeah, but you
the
know
Trailblazer.
what? And
We're just along for the ride.
Yeah, but the show wouldn't be the show without you guys. I mean, I've had Ian since the beginning, and you popped in as special guest in the first 10, and we sort of regular afterwards.
Yeah, then you just couldn't get rid of him.
Yeah, I know. I just show up at his house.
Yeah, that's right. What are you doing?
On his bedroom window. Let me in.
Let me in.
Yeah.
I have opinions and I need to spread them around.
Well, that's it for listener mail and everything. So, of course, if you want to get in contact with us, or indeed you want us to answer your question, send us an email.
Or if you want to tell us we're really wrong on a subject, tell us.
We're quite happy to take that criticism as well. Our email address is onthebench64@gmail.com. Now, an important announcement. We are now out of lockdown, and as such, we're moving away from our weekly shows back to our fortnightly shows.
Everyone's going to be sad.
Yeah.
I know, but geez, it's just too hard to keep up doing weekly shows because it takes up pretty much
the whole day.
The whole day of a weekend. So I lose all of the Saturday by the time I do post production and everything, and then upload it and all that. So and there's a preparing and feeding you guys coming around. You're sending me broke. No, you're not really. You don't eat much.
Well, also, it cuts into model time.
Yeah.
Well, model time. And, with 7 grandkids now, it's, geez. In fact, I'm going to go out and help one of my stepsons go and look for a car this afternoon. So.
Oh, lucky you. I just got to mow lawns, and then I'm on some modelling.
Yeah. So I know a lot of you are going to be disappointed, but we did it as a way to sort of help everybody get through. And I think for the better part of the world, most people are sort of coming out of lockdown in some limited way or form.
For the time being.
I heard California's just been announced that California has another 3 months of lockdown ahead of them.
Really? Gee, I don't know, but I haven't heard that. Oh,
gee,
I'll tell you what.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
That would suck big time.
I'm sure some of our friends in California, Bella confirm, would deny that rumour.
Yeah.
But it's been great doing the weekly shows, but it's been hard because we haven't been in the same room, and I love having you guys in the same room. I think the vibe's a bit better. And
Yeah, because we can sort of like look at across to each other and know when we're going to jump in rather than talking over the top of each other all the bloody time.
Exactly, yeah.
And I can't see when you roll your eyes.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. Well, not that they can see it either.
No, well, that's true, but I can. That makes me laugh.
Yep. Too true.
All right, so I think we'll wrap it up there. So that's been our first podcast out of lockdown. Ian, have you got any parting pearls of wisdom?
Photo itch is your friend.
Julian.
Oh, I think maybe I should go with something a bit different this time.
Oh, okay. Please do.
Yeah, I think everyone should try a different genre once in a while.
Try a different genre.
You might pick up some, skills that
you
didn't think you needed.
Yep. That's what I do.
There you go.
And you can always cross those skills over to your next project.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, guys. Been great having you. And I will see you all in a fortnight.
You will.
Until then, adios.
Bye-bye.
Well, thanks for listening to the show. And if you want some more modelling goodness, don't forget to check out our good friends, Dave and Michael, at the Plastic Model Mojo podcast. Or if you still want some yet even more modelling goodness, don't forget also to check out Stuart and Anthony at the Scale Model podcast. As I said earlier on during the show, we will be back in a fortnight. We're back to our regular programming, so we'll see you then. In the meantime, stay safe and enjoy your modelling.